Join me as I dive into galactic conquest in Battlefront 2 and see if I can conquer the galaxy in just one session. Galactic Conquest is more than just a mode in Battlefront 2, it's the heart of the game's multiplayer experience. Imagine commanding armies of stormtroopers, TIE fighters, and even ST walkers, all working together to crush your enemies across the galaxy. For me, it's about strategy, skill, and a little bit of luck. When done right, it feels incredibly rewarding. Starting Galactic Conquest can be daunting. You jump in, and suddenly you're faced with a galaxy map, multiple factions to choose from, and no clear path to victory. I've lost count of how many times I've dove in unprepared, only to be crushed by a well-coordinated opponent. Strategy formulation is key. You need to think about which planets to attack, when to defend, and how to manage your resources effectively. It's not just about moving troops from one planet to another, it's about understanding the ebb and flow of the battle. Resource management is another critical aspect. You need to ensure you're producing enough troops and deploying them effectively. If you're too focused on one front, you might leave yourself vulnerable on another. I've seen many games where a player dominates early on, only to have their empire crumble because they spread themselves too thin. It's a delicate balance, and one that requires constant attention. Another challenge is adapting to your opponent's strategy. In Galactic Conquest, no two games are ever the same. Your opponent might have a completely different approach, forcing you to adjust on the fly. This is where the game's replayability shines. You'll rarely win or lose the same way twice. Understanding the different factions and their strengths is crucial here. The Empire has powerful walkers and starfighters, while the Rebels excel at speed and guerrilla tactics. The mechanics of Galactic Conquest are pretty straightforward. You're trying to capture and hold key planets. Each faction has its own strengths and weaknesses, and the maps can greatly influence your strategy. For instance, some planets are better for defensive play, while others are perfect for launching a quick offense. One of the most interesting aspects is the variety of strategies you can employ. You can go all in on one planet, hoping to crush your opponent quickly, or play a more conservative game, spreading your forces across multiple systems. Factions like the Empire have access to devastating technology, like the Death Star, which can turn the tide of battle in an instant. On the other hand, the Rebel Alliance excels at mobility and surprise attacks. Understanding these mechanics and adapting your strategy accordingly is key to success. The galaxy map itself is also a critical tool. It allows you to plan your moves ahead of time, setting up ambushes or preparing for a major push. One key strategy that can change the tide of a match is a well-timed ambush. Imagine your opponent is focused on a distant planet, and you see an opportunity to strike at their weak point. A surprise attack on a critical planet can flip the script entirely. I recall a game where I was down by a significant margin, but managed to pull off a comeback by